Good morning, dear students. Dear student, today we are going to start our sixth chapter, main sectors of Indian economy dash agriculture. Okay, in this chapter we will study about three different sectors of Indian economy: the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. Okay, dear student, we will also study about the meaning of agriculture, role of agriculture, okay, and then causes of low productivity, and in the last we will study about impact of agriculture practices on the ecosystem. Dear student, trend of agriculture productivity is not the part of your syllabus. Okay, this particular session is not in your syllabus, so we have to ignore this particular session, is this particular part. Okay, now dear student, let's start our today's session. Dear student, you all are familiar that Indian economy can be grouped into three broad sectors. The first one is primary sector, which is also known as agriculture sectors. Okay, in this sector we will study about different agriculture activities. We will study about allied activities and the contribution of agriculture in our economy. Okay, the second point is your secondary sector, which is known as industrial sector. Okay, in this particular session we will study about all the industries and firms and the manufacturing units and the factories. Okay, their contribution in our economy, in our GDP, and their role in our economy. In the last we will study about tertiary sector. This sector is also known as services sector. Okay, all the services related activities like your banking, financing, okay, your telecommunication, okay, all these type of services like your insurance services, all these services are part of tertiary sector, dear student. So let's begin with primary sector. Dear student, primary sector, if you talk about primary sector consists of agriculture, animal husbandry, dairy farming, poultry farming, okay, forestry and fisheries. All these are the part of our primary sector. Okay, you can see that primary sector means agriculture activity and allied activities. All the agriculture and allied activities are part of primary sector. This is one of the basic sector of our Indian economy. Dear student, before independence, our economy is totally rely on this particular sector only. Okay, the contribution of this sector is too high in our Indian GDP before independence. After independence, the contribution of this sector slowly start decreasing, and if you talk about today's scenario, the contribution by primary sector in GDP is around 12 to 13%. Okay, the contribution GDP is decreases by this particular primary sector, but still the workforce engaged in this particular sector is high as compared to other sector. Okay, so just keep in mind that most of the people in our India are totally belong from agriculture sector. Okay, it simply represents that workforce many people engage in agriculture activities, but the contribution by agriculture activities decreases as compared to secondary sector and as compared to tertiary sector. Okay, dear student, so we can explain this primary sector as the sector which have agriculture, animal husbandry, dairy, poultry farming, forestry, fisheries. Okay, and in this sector of economy, goods are produced by exploiting economy's natural resources. For example, nature has a great hand in the production of agriculture commodities. Likewise, nature cooperates with man in producing woods or timber, okay, in raising cattle or in catching fish. So goods produced by this sector is known as primary goods. So always keep in mind that goods produced in the primary sector is simply known as primary goods, or the goods which you directly receive from nature is simply known as primary goods. This sector is called primary because it forms the base of all other products which are produced. Primary sector is also known as agriculture sector as it is associated with agriculture and allied activities. Okay, dear student. Now our next part is secondary sector. Dear students, secondary sectors also play a very important role in our GDP. If you talk about current scenario, then the contribution by the secondary sector is second highest after the tertiary sector. Okay, we can see that our manufacturing sector increases. Okay, the number of firms, the number of companies or organization increases day by day. Okay, there are so many initiatives taken by the governments. Okay, so we can see that we have large scale industries, we have small scale industries. Okay, we have different industries or different manufacturing units. Okay, those units produce different type of goods in the economy. So all these manufacturing units, all these small scale, large scale industries are part of secondary sector. Okay, dear student, so that's why secondary sector includes activities related to manufacturing and construction. Under manufacturing, all type of industries like small scale, large scale industries are included, which I told you. Okay, at present, handloom, cloth, okay, matches, beads, toys, pottery, etc. are produced by our small scale industries. Large scale industries, on the other hand, produce goods in large quantities which are sold all over the country and also exported to other countries. So secondary sectors also includes all kind of construction activity. Okay, secondary sector includes all those activities which produce various goods with the help of raw material. Okay, dear students, so always keep in mind, with the help of raw material, these sector produce goods in the economy. Now, where did we get raw material? Dear student, we get raw material only from primary sector. That's why primary sector is known as primary, because this sector supply raw material to the secondary sector. Okay, dear student, so that's why we can say that, okay, secondary sector converts raw material into finished goods. Okay, dear student, now industrial sector is the main constituent of this sector. So we can say that whatever industries you have, all these industries are part of secondary sector. Okay, goods produced by this sector is known as manufactured goods. Okay, so keep in mind, good produced in primary sector is known as primary goods, good produced in secondary sector is known as manufactured goods. Okay, dear student, now move to our third part, which is tertiary sector. Now, what are tertiary sector? If you talk about tertiary sector, this particular sector is also known as, dear student, services sector. Okay, all the services related activities like your transportation, your banking, insurance, communication, all these services are provided by this particular sector only. And if you talk about the contribution by this sector is highest in our Indian GDP in today's world. In today's scenario, this sector contributes highest part in GDP. Okay, dear student, so the contribution of this sector increases. You can see that we have so many call centers, we have so many different banks have different branches, we have insurance companies. Okay, so all these are service providers. So the contribution by this sector in GDP is increasing day by day. Okay, dear student, so if you talk about the definition, it is third sector of Indian economy. Okay, tertiary means third in order. It does not produce goods as produced by the primary and secondary sector, but produce services. That's why it is also known as services sector. Services like, now what are those different type of services? Services like transport, banking, insurance, communication, etc. are produced by this sector. So services sector also include trade, like domestic and international trade, commonly called export and import. So export and import are part of this particular sector. Okay, there are some people who provide professional services such as teachers, doctors, engineers, chartered accountant, barbers, etc. They also form part of these sectors, because teachers provide services, doctor, engineer, lawyer, all these provide services. So we all are part of this sector only. Okay, that's why tertiary sector is creating so much employment as compared to other sectors. Okay, and now the employment creating by this sector increases day by day. People, you can see that people from rural area migrating from rural area to urban area in search of a job, and they can easily get jobs in manufacturing and tertiary sectors also. Okay, dear students, so finally services provided by government constitute an important component of the services sector. So student, this is about services sector. Now move to our next point, which is division of an economy on the basis of ownership. Dear student, on the what we have divided, whatever we have done, like we divided our economy into three parts, like primary sector, secondary, tertiary. This is on the basis of productive activity, dear student. Always keep in mind, this is done on the basis of productive activities. But on the basis of ownership, we can divide an economy into two parts. One is public sector and second one is private sector. Public sector and private sector. If you talk about public sector indicate all those economic organizations which are engaged in producing and distribution of goods and services owned and managed by the government. Okay, so all the government companies, all the institutions where government have a large amount of shares, or all those organizations or company which are undertaking of government, it's simply known as public sector. Their purpose is to welfare of the society, to give welfare, to give goods or product in low cost, so that it can be afforded by, so it can be purchased by a poor person also. Okay, dear students, so this particular sector is known as our public sector. Now if you talk about private sector on the other hand consists of all those productive activities or business enterprises which are entirely under private ownerships. Okay, it is an important segment of Indian economy, again on the basis of habitation. So on the basis of ownership we can divide it, our economy, into two parts, public and private. So dear student, now on the basis of habitation, okay, on the basis of habitat, on the basis of habitat we can say that, or habitation, we divide our economy into two parts. One is urban and second one is rural sector. You all are familiar with these sector, rural and urban sector. So okay, urban areas are those areas which are mostly grow. Okay, they have all the facilities like medical facilities, they have education facilities. Okay, they have other different transportation facilities, and the people living in these areas, they have good standard of living. Okay, and they have a good job opportunity as compared to the rural sector. Rural sector are generally the backward area of an economy. Okay, where people where the basic necessity are present in less quantity, or where we can say that the basic services are of there is a there is a lack, or there is a gap of basic necessities, like your hospitals, like your schools, like different medical facilities, transportation facilities. All these are in less quantity or limited quantity in rural area. Okay, dear student, now move to we will discuss all these sectors in detail in our next chapters. Okay, now dear student, let us move to our next point, which is agriculture sector. So today we are going to start with agriculture sector. Now what do you mean by agriculture? What is the meaning of agriculture? Dear student, the term agriculture in English is derived from two words. Agri means field and culture means cultivation. Okay, so Webster dictionary, according to Webster dictionary of United States, we can see that agriculture is the art or science of production of crops or livestock on a farm. Okay, so we can say that the crop and the livestock which we produce on a farm, okay, it's simply known as agriculture. So that's why agriculture is an art, it is also a science, so that's why agriculture is an art and science of production of crops and livestock on a farm. Okay, dear students, this is the meaning of agriculture. Now the role or contribution of agriculture. If you talk about the role and contribution of agriculture, agriculture is the backbone of Indian economy. Always keep in mind, okay, that agriculture sector is the backbone of our economy. Despite our major emphasis on industrial development during the last 4 decades, agriculture continues to occupy a place of pride in our economy. The importance of agriculture in the Indian economy can best be judged from the following facts. So these are the facts why agriculture is termed as the backbone of Indian economy, or you can say that all these are role and contribution of agriculture. The first one is share in national income. Okay, India is an agriculture economy. Although the share of agriculture in the total national income has been gradually decreases on account of development of secondary and services sector, as I told you. and in 1950-51 the share of agriculture in national income is 59%. So keep in mind that at the time of 1950 or 1951 the contribution by agriculture sector is 59% in our economy, but now it has came down to 17% in 2016 and 17, and if you talk about 19 and 20 then it is decreases to 13%. So today we so if you talk about today's data, then is this time the contribution by agriculture sector is around 13% in our economy. Okay, dear student. So most developed countries like UK, USA, similar, the contribution of agriculture in these nations in their national income is less, always less as compared to other services like we have manufacturing, we have tertiary sectors also. So this clearly show that India is not yet reached this stage of advanced economy, because in advanced economy the contribution by agriculture sector is only 2% and 3%. Okay, dear student, and in your economy the contribution of agriculture is still 13%. Now move to our next point, which is source of employment. Okay, in India agriculture is the main source of employment. If you talk about 16-17 data, 43% of the total labor force depend on agriculture for their livelihood. And if you talk about the previous data, 1950-51, the percentage figure around 72%, okay, of the people are engaged in agriculture or agriculture allied activities. Okay, they are totally dependent on agriculture activities for their livelihood. Next point is source of food supply. Dear student, this is so common. We know that agriculture sector meets the food requirement of such a huge size of population, which we have like 121 crore. According to 2011 census data, our population is 121 crore. So the huge population, the demand of huge population, their food need is only fulfilled by the agriculture sector. Okay, dear student, next point is importance in industrial development. Okay, in India agriculture play an important role in industrial development. Agriculture provides raw material to our leading industries like cotton industries, jute industries, sugar industries, vanaspati industries. So all the raw material are supplied by the agriculture sector only in these different forms. If you talk about industry in these different industries, so that's why all the goods which are manufactured by the industries, okay, like whatever we receive from the manufacturing industries, like the refined oil, okay, or the refined food or the processed food, okay, all these we receive from the industry sector only. Next is importance in international trade. Okay, if you talk about trade, then international agriculture also play an important part in international trade. Agriculture also play an important role in India's foreign trade. A number of agriculture commodities like cereals, like tea, coffee, spices and tobacco constitute our major item of export. All these items are exported from our countries, like coffee, spices, tobacco, tea, okay, and cereals. In recent years, marine products have emerged as a single large contributor to total agri export, which account for over 20% of the total agri exports. If we add the export of other agriculture based goods such as jute, cloth and sugar, the share of agriculture is total exports goes much higher. Okay, so that's why the contribution by agriculture sector in export is too high in our country, in our Indian economy. All these exports bring in valuable foreign exchange to pay for the increased imports of machine and raw material required in the non agriculture sector. Now sixth point, source of labor supply. Agriculture is also the source of labor supply. Okay, all the laborers in the urban area are supplied only from the rural area and their basic work is agriculture, so that's why they are unskilled. So agriculture activities provide job to those unskilled labor also. Next point is international trade, or we can say that internal trade. International trade we discussed in our fifth point. In our seventh point, it is internal trade. So agriculture play a significant role in countries' internal trade. It is because of the fact that 90% of our population spends about 60% of their income on the purchase of items like food, tea, milk, sugar, etc. And all these items belong to the agriculture sector of the economy. So dear student, that's why agriculture sector is one of the primary and important sector for our economy, because we get all our needs from this particular sector only. Okay, and all the raw materials supplied by this particular sector only. That's why agriculture sector is most important. Okay, and the role and the contribution by agriculture sector is so high as compared to the other sector. So that's it for today, student. We will meet in next session. We will in the next session we will discuss about the causes of low productivity and the problem of Indian agriculture. Till now, stay safe, stay healthy, dear student.